Hello and welcome to Off My Shelves, and this is a look at Sunny by Taiyō Matsumoto, and yeah, we will get underway. So Sunny by Taiyō Matsumoto is one of those really difficult to pin down books to explain, I think, because it certainly is what you would call a slice of life story. So it doesn't necessarily have a definitive, narrative thread, a beginning, middle and end. You just dipping into someone's life and then going away when that life is still continuing. It doesn't finish when the book ends or anything, but it's following a group of foster children in a home called Star Kids Home in Japan. It's based in the 1970s, late 70s, and it is such a wonderful book on so many levels that I had to make a video on this book, on this series of books, because I think more people should be reading books like this in terms of this medium, comics and comic books. Everyone does get kind of bogged down massively in superheroes, and I'm a massive culprit for that. Looking at my books, everything revolves around Lycra. When you discover a book like this, it really does open your mind up in a different way. It sets off different ideas and thoughts and emotions that you don't get from those books. So making a video on these was a must for me because I wanted other people to read them and experience them. But anyway, before I get too far into the story and me waffling on about how good they are, the build of these books. So all 6 are hardbacks. They haven't got dust jackets, and they finished in this very canvasy like finish. It's not a matte or glossy finish. It's got a bit of texture to it. They've all got these full spreads of the images of the children in Star Kids Home. They are glued binding rather than sewed binding, but to be honest, the size of them and the length of them, there's no issues with like gutter loss or anything like that. They're really well put together books. They're all mostly black and whites with some coloured pages drifting in here, there and everywhere. And size wise, they are the Viz Signature Edition size wise. So they're a little bit bigger than your standard size tankobon and a little bit smaller than your standard size trade paperback. Simple as that, really. But they are great books, I think. I really enjoy the quality of Taiyō Matsumoto's books. To the story, and as I said, it is a slice of life manga, and so you jump into this home, Star Kids Home in the 1970s, but you jump into it in a really interesting way. It starts off showing a young child named Haruo, and again, excuse any pronunciation problems that I have with Japanese names or places, but it starts off with his imagination. They've got a car in the garden of the Star Kids Home that is a Sunny. The brand of the car is a Sunny, and so they use that. It's down and out, and they jump in it, and basically it just opens their mind. They use it to have little adventures, little imaginary playtimes, and so the book starts off with that, but then it comes back to reality fairly quick. And every now and again, the kids getting into Sunny, you have these really elaborate, imaginative scenes where the car is flying or where they're having an adventure, high-speed chases and things like that. And they are great because it gives a wonderful insight into these children's fantasies and what they want from life and what they find interesting. And yeah, they're just nice little digressions in the main story, I think. Because the story certainly dives deep into the Star Kids Home. It looks at all the children there, and there's a range of boys and girls, not just Haruo, and a range of people who have ended up in this foster care home for totally different reasons. Some their parents have died, some their parents just don't want them or can't cope with them any longer. Some have had their kids taken off them and put in this foster care because they've got alcohol or drug problems. Some their parents are hospitalised and they physically can't take care of their children. You instantly get this massive range of children who end up in this foster care, and there's not one person's story that's the same as the others, but then they're all going through the same experience of being in that home and living with each other and being cast together. And so the story is full of looking at the different dynamics between the children, how they live together, how they go to school, how they want to get back to normality, how they long to have normality in the first place because some of them have never had it, and more or less how they cope. And that's really, I think, the main part of the story, is how these children cope with what's thrown against them. So they end up in this home. What do they develop? What type of attitudes do they develop to cope with this situation. So, for example, Haruo decides that he has to be strong, that he has to be just an amazingly strong and independent person and not need anyone. He needs to be the alpha male in this story, really. And that means playing up, showing off, being a bad boy, being all this, being all that. And so you follow his story, but then you see a lot of vulnerable moments with him as well. You see a lot of moments where he just really wants to be with his mum, and he just really wants to get out to the home because he sees the home as being the big problem. You look at two brothers whose mother's in hospital and how they cope with that, and how when the story starts they pick in clovers and things like that, 4-leaf clovers, and they're obsessed with grabbing 4-leaf clovers. And for ages and ages in the book you haven't got a clue why they're doing this. Why are these weird snot-nosed kids picking all these 4-leaf clovers? But then as the book goes, you realise that they're actually collecting these clovers to take to their mother who's in hospital, because they have been told at some point that will bring her luck and speed her recovery. It's really touching to see these really off-the-wall, hard-to-handle, messy, snotty kids actually being so focused on just getting their mum well so they can return to normality. And then you get some of the girl characters in there as well, making up lies and elaborate stories to try and ingratiate themselves in school and things like that. It really is a slice of life, but it's based in this 1970s setting, and it's based around experience as well, because Taiyō Matsumoto did grow up in an orphanage or in foster care. And I think I read or watched a YouTube video somewhere that said that originally Sunny was going to be more of an autobiographical story, and it's paced so well as well, because each section of the book, and not necessarily each book, but each section of the book focuses on a different child or a different aspect of life in like this star kid's home. So sometimes it focuses on the people running their home and their family and their lives, and how they've been doing this for so many years and their experiences and all that type of thing. And so as you go through the volumes, you get more and more familiar with the young people, and you get more and more attached. And again, like other Taiyō Matsumoto books, I'm amazed with how much he gets you to care about the characters really quickly. It is a mark of a very good writer that creates this cast of characters, a diverse cast of children with adults as well mixed in, but you care about all of them. You care what happens in the Star Kids home. You care about the people who are looking after these kids. You care about these kids. You just want them to be happy. You want them to have what they want. You want them to have that normality that they crave, that you know can never really be fully theirs, because their life has been cast off and sent in a direction that you're not sure where they'll end up at all. And so when you get to the point where some of them run away, or some of them have to be sent to another home, or some of them are just too much to handle, it's such a range of emotions you feel reading this series of books. I think it'll make you sad, it'll make you laugh, it'll make you feel super angry at some points and super resentful at certain characters, and then even some characters that you learn to love. You know, they push things too far and you want to give them a stern talking to, but it's just a mark of a really good book, I think, that you just invested in these characters' lives so much. It is a very hard book to talk about, if I'm honest, because talking about a book that's essentially jumping into a cast of characters' lives and then jumping away, as I said at the beginning, so there's not necessarily a start, middle and end. There's just these lives going off in different directions. So it's hard to describe, it's hard to kind of pin down. But it is such an enriching experience to go through, I think. When you get to the end of the story, you don't feel awful for the children. You feel optimistic and hopeful, because ultimately they do. Fundamentally, no matter how much they are pushed, no matter where they go, no matter what they do, they want to change. They want to change things. They want to move forward. They want to change their lives and do something with their lives. They don't just want to sit around and vegetate or play hell or whatever. They actually want to change and want to be better in some way. And obviously that changes depending on what kid you're looking at and what values they have. But ultimately it's a really hopeful book, I think. And the amount of love and effort that's gone into the setting of the 1970s is great as well, because a lot of the time they're singing songs and watching TV shows, and there's loads of footnotes to tell you that, oh, this was a popular song in 1977, or this was a popular TV show, or this actor they're talking about, or this baseball team they're talking about was popular in 1978, and all that. And so there's loads of love for that era, but ultimately that era comes across as like it has a lot of fond memories for the author, and he enjoys kind of, you know, layering these songs that he obviously had an affinity for when he was younger into the characters' lives. And you even get an idea of the scope of the problem as well, which is great, because they join up with other homes and have baseball games. They go out to fun fairs and have a day out in the fun fair, but you meet these wider homes as well, these other homes that have different types of children, different behavioural problems and things like that. And yeah, and it just shines a light on foster care, but ultimately the people running the home and the children there make the best out of a bad situation and push forward, and they just turn into this amazingly strong, diverse family group. The art as well is pure Taiyō Matsumoto art. And yeah, it's stunning. And I love how the more imaginative scenes, when they are being imaginative in Sunny, Taiyō Matsumoto gets a chance to really let loose and open up his imagination into where this car is taking these children and everything. But it's a wonderful series of books, I think. And so yeah, if you are interested in looking at slice of life stories, then there's no better place to start, really, I don't think, than Sunny by Taiyō Matsumoto. And yeah, and you can always just pick up the first one, see if you like it, and then see where it takes you, really. But that's all I got to say about Sunny, and thank you very much for watching, and I will catch you on the next one.